Hey everyone, I have a cool feature for you today. This one is going to be around our orchestrations, in particular debugging our orchestrations. So if you are familiar with debugging orchestrations, you know that in the past we've had to build and deploy and push out our orchestrations and wait for the tenant connection before we're able to push that run button to be able to get all that fun information to be able to debug our orchestrate from start to finish. But now we can go to each individual step and debug the individual step itself, as well as see the required inputs coming to that step, as well as seeing all the other runs that we've done within our debugger. So let's go ahead and jump over and take a look what that looks like. So I've got my Orchestrate here that does a few different things. I am able to actually debug on anything in our data request components, anything in our data operations components, and anything in our orchestration logic components. I have 2 HTTP requests, and then I have a few different data operations and just a simple log statement to showcase here. So up at the top here, I have just a very simple API request that is external to Workday. Let's go ahead and click our little debugger button. I can see any required inputs for this particular step, as well as the tenant connection, and then my back and forward button that can jump from my previous to my next step, as well as playing the current step. So if I hit play, it's actually going to test this exact step. And I can see my response back, as well as all the headers that come back from this response. So that's handy, and now I want to move on to the next step. So if my next step were to need that data from the previous step, I can see those inputs coming out of the other step. So I'm able to reference that using the dot notation right here. I can easily grab that and stick that into another step. I can also see what is coming out of those steps. And again, I see down here the full context of what I've run before. So I ran that HTTP request. I can see still what came back from it and what kind of data I might need to use in my next step. Let's go ahead and run this step, and then I'd be able to see the current run of the step I'm currently clicked on, as well as the old data that I ran in that just previous step. So again, you have that full context of everything you've run previously, as well as the current step that you're on. So you're able to grab that data and put it into the right step in the right data operations where you need to manipulate data or push data out. And you're able to reference that data very easily using this debugger. And again, I can keep going through, going next step. I'm now on the create JSON. This is going to create a very simple default value JSON for me. Fantastic. I can create text templates, I can do create values, I can do validations on my steps. And again, it's giving me that nice detail of all of these different steps, and I can cycle back to see the other ones that I've run to be able to reference this data in any of my individual steps. I don't have to deploy anything, I don't have to build anything. I can run it right here, connected to my tenant without having to push anything out into my other tenants. But that doesn't stop me from doing that as well. So if I want to push this out and run it the good old-fashioned way using that play button on the top right, I can still do that. That's still there. You can still debug and see that full response come back. That has not changed, but we now have that fancy debugger step that we can do each individual step. I think this is a super cool feature. I've already used it a ton. I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll catch you guys at the next one.